In this video, we're going over the best 5 agents to absolutely solo carry in the brand new patch. You see, we all get bad teammates from time to time, and you need an agent that can have high impact without anyone helping you, so these are going to be the best agents for you. So we're going to jump in and break them down right now. Now, the ground rules that we have set are number 1, no coordination. In fact, the less coordination, the better for these agents, because in order to climb, you can't really expect anything from your teammates, so we're going to find characters that can do things without the help of them. Now, definitely the character that sticks out the most in this regard is undoubtedly Reyna. And I understand, Reyna's on your team that go freaking 2 and 17 are frustrating. But Reyna is undoubtedly a character that puts a lot of agency into your own plays. And as an individual, Reyna has some of the highest potential impact because she doesn't really need any setup. You have your own flashes to get kills. If you get kills, you can chain off and take multiple engagements over and over again, allowing this character to get double kills and multi-kills in a way that a lot of other characters would simply get traded out from. And yes, from a strategic point of view, you're leaving quite a bit on the table, but really, in your games, are people using their abilities together and playing strategically anyways? Most of the time, not so much. Now, that being said, just because you have a character that exceeds in 1v1 scenarios doesn't mean you always have to take them over and over again. The worst thing that a Reyna can do is be perma-lurking all the time and dying by themselves. Oftentimes, being someone that can make first contact, get a kill, fade away, and have your team trade the second person is incredibly powerful. In addition, just playing with your team on pistol rounds and trying to actually just trade out and focus fire allows you to get that 150 HP and just really take over that pistol round, and that's really where you're going to carry a lot of these games. Of course, last but not least, you also need to have mechanical excellence with Reyna. A lot of what your impact is going to stem from is your consistency with your aim and your crosshair placement. But to quickly learn those things, the SkillCapped website has everything you need to quickly master your aim, from movement guides to advanced tips and tricks on how to increase your accuracy. So what are you waiting for? Check it out right now in the links down below. Now, the next agent that we have for you is an agent that is, of course, good in meta tier play as well, but as far as a solo carry agent, he's one of the best, and it's Omen. Now, I preach a lot about Omen on this channel because of how strong he is. For a lot of the reasons, I don't necessarily suggest lurking all the time on duelists like Reyna. For Omen, he is the god at lurking, and there's a couple of reasons. Number 1, he doesn't need to be the first one onto a site. In fact, that's not his job at all. So you don't have to be always playing with your team, where if a duelist like a Jet or a Reyna is lurking, all of a sudden the person that is supposed to initiate onto point is just not there. But Omen can lurk up mid and actually smoke off and do his job for his team, even throwing a paranoia here and there to help his team take space onto point, while at the same time setting up for a cutoff play on enemy rotators. This means that Omen gets to do both of his jobs simultaneously, and he doesn't have to pick and choose, and it leaves a lot of room for him to both pop off but still bring a lot of consistency to any team composition. Now, specifically about him solo carrying, lurking gives you a ton of potential to actually just completely destroy an enemy team. Cutting off rotators and getting free kills on rotators is super easy, because either enemies rotate very slow and try to clear you out and make sure that you're not there, which gives your team an advantage, or they rotate fast and you get free cutoffs and free kills, and that's just free value straight up, and then you can go for an aggressive flank play or just try to regroup with your team. In addition to that, Omen gets to play around with a lot of fun tactics that can really mind games the enemy team, whether you're teleporting in and around your smokes, combining paranoias with aggressive teleports, and anything in between. Omen is kind of that all-in-one package that is both good in meta and really solid in ranked play as a solo carry agent. Now, the next character you might not think is a solo carry agent, but he really is, and it's Sova. Now, of course, Sova is fantastic in coordinated play, but the thing about Sova is you can do a lot even by yourself. Specifically, learning how to use his abilities on the fly is one of the best ways to give yourself a huge advantage in a lot of clutch situations. While lineups are very valuable and good for helping retakes as a team and setting up coordinated strategies, keep in mind that you can get a ton of value just throwing a dart up on height and swinging a corner, or using your damage darts in a corner or a peek angle and challenging an enemy with advantage. Sova gets the flexibility to not only do those lineups and strategic things, but also uses abilities on the fly, and I think a lot of Sovas need to understand that you could use your abilities in the moment in combat to give yourself some huge clutch potential, but it's something that you're going to definitely have to practice, because sometimes you try to pop your abilities kind of in a pseudo-dangerous place, like you're not completely outside the fight, you're like in the middle of the fight, and there's a small window of time to do so, and if you miss that timing, oftentimes you're gonna get killed, right? So the only way to get better at that timing is to, one, not second guess yourself, and two, practice, because oftentimes if you know where the enemy is, you have windows or pockets where you can whip out an ability that is going to help an engagement, and you don't want to just be sitting there taking a dry duel 1v1 when you have all this abilities, all this utility that could help you win the fight. And in addition to that, your ultimate is also a crazy clutch ult, not only just good for denying a plant or potentially playing post plant, but even just getting solo kills, setting up a situation where you deny an entire rush by the enemy team by cutting off the lanes. Sova is really, really strong in that regard. The only little tip I would give you is to ping the places that you're going to ult first, ping the lanes on the map that you think they're at, and then ult relative to where you think they'll move to. Now, next up, we do got to talk about Phoenix. And Phoenix has some of the highest win rate in ranked play, according to Riot, across ranks. And this is super, super important because Phoenix doesn't see really any pro play. Why is he so dominant in ranked play? And it really comes down to his suite of abilities being just a toolbox for any of the problems that you can come up with. Like, if you are dealing with an op, you have a flash for that. Or if you don't have a controller that is doing their job, or they're dead, or whatever the case may be, you can force yourself on with your flame wall. You have people that keep ratting in corners, or you have a freaking judge user around the corner. You can clear them out with your molly, and in addition to all these things, your ultimate is incredibly fast charging, so farming orbs is going to get you so many free ults, and it's just really powerful, taking space on a point, potentially getting kills, and gathering you information as well. Phoenix gets to do a ton of different things, so any situation you come up into, you're going to be perfectly fine in ranked, and he's going to be able to have a momentum effect, where if you start popping off with the character, all of a sudden you're going to chain ults into ults into ults into ults, and you're just going to carry an entire game out of nowhere, where it feels like the momentum is completely on your side. Now, a lot of the reasons that Phoenix is super, super good in ranked play makes him pretty bad in pro play, because you don't really want a character that can handle everything, because you have a whole team that can handle everything. But keep in mind that in ranked, you can't rely on your team to use anything correctly or do anything right. You would much rather have the means to do it yourself a lot of the time, and that's one of the many reasons why Phoenix has such a high freaking win rate. Now, last but certainly not least, a character that I feel is a bit underrated right now, especially for ranked, is undoubtedly Chamber. And I understand his character got nerfed, and a lot of people were really, really used to the old way he was, and a lot of people stopped playing him after his nerfs. But you do got to remember, when we talk about characters that can solo carry, a lot of this comes down to how good you are mechanically. And just like Reyna, being able to take multiple isolated 1v1s is a huge advantage, and Chamber can just straight up do that. Not only do you just have a ton of freaking free weapons, whether it's your pistol, whether it's your operator, but you get to take duels and not get traded out for them. And in addition to that, you do get a little bit of extra utility for finding information in the Sentinel role. I do think that while Chamber isn't maybe the most flashy or popular pick right now, in ranked play in particular, if you're a demon mechanically with this character, you can take over an entire lobby and be an absolute menace of a character to play. So he's definitely a character that I think is really strong, and in addition to that, he's actually a fairly good lurker as well, so he's not needed to be on the front line always pushing into the point aggressively like a Raze, a Jet, or a Reyna would be. He gets to play around and be a little bit flexible with the way you're playing him. As long as you're hitting your shots and getting value, I think you can hard carry with this character. But these are the top 5 characters that I would suggest to dominate right now as a solo carry person, but definitely let me know if there's any that you think we missed, and check out the SkillCapped website for everything you could possibly need to quickly climb to Ascendant, Immortal, or even Radiant. Check it out right now in the links down below.